also when I think of committing your life to Christ, I think it's important to understand that that we're sinful and we can't do enough good deeds to attain that relationship with Christ. And so when with Christ sending his son to die on the cross for us, it enables us to have that relationship with God. So it's not just knowing everything that Phil said, knowing the principles, but it's doing a 180 from how you were living before, and not just your actions, but your thinking, your relationships, everything changes because now you have a purpose, you have a goal, your whole life is just different.
And I think what else, another thing that Lindsay was kind of pointing out is when you do that 180, it's not like you're stagnant. You stay on one, I guess, path. You have to start reading the Bible more. You have to get into groups and get with fellow Christians and start worshiping and building up your relationship. It's not just being stagnant and, I gave my life to Christ, now that's all I have to do. I think if you truly believe and truly want to get to know God, you're going to do that 180 like Lindsay was talking about, and you're going to want to do those things. You're going to want to read the Bible. You're going to want to get more involved with the church. You're going to just want to do these things. It's not going to just be like, well, man, now I got to go to a prayer meeting, or now I have to go see Alex preach on the pulpit every Saturday or Sunday. So I think it's not a darn I have to do this now. It's I want to and I get to. It's
out of gratitude.
It's a joyful attitude. I guess before I became a Christian, I kind of like Lindsay's story. I grew up in the church. My parents raised us as Presbyterians, and we went to church almost every Sunday. I accepted Christ at a young age, but did I really know what that meant? Probably not. I would go to Fort Lone Tree. It was a Christian camp up in Ruidoso, and I just grew up in that camp. And it was funny. I went to the camp. I enjoyed myself. I learned more about God. I felt like I got closer in that week I was there. And then I went through high school, and I guess you go through changes in high school, and so I guess as in high school, if you play sports, you're part of the popular group, and so you're forced in that group, and I played basketball in high school, so I was known in high school. So I would go to Christian camp, and I'd get close to God for a summer, and then about a month or two after camp, I'd still be on fire for God, but it was slowly but surely fading, and I'd go back to my regular routine, basketball, and hang out with people I probably shouldn't hang out with. And so all through high school I did that. And then finally, even through some of my college years, I probably did the same thing. And I don't think I really knew what it meant to be a Christian until my best friend's father passed away. He died of cancer, and I remember going down to Houston when he was about to pass away and just realizing how short life is and how life can be taken from you in a split of a second. You just never know when you're going to pass away. So it kind of made me realize life's too short. And so I've always kind of in the background, God's always going to be there on the back burner. I don't have to worry about it yet. I'm 23 years old. I don't need to worry about where I'm going to be. And so it just finally hit me that when my best friend's father passed away, that he was 55 and he passed away. I mean, your life's short. You never know when you're going to go. So I just remember right then and there, I guess rededicated my life to Christ, and I finally knew what it meant. And it's funny, after becoming a Christian, I didn't do an exact 180. I've fallen short a few times, but I feel like I have a direction in my life now. I'm not wondering where I need to go. It's funny because I was torn between two places before Robert passed away, whether I should go to the fort and do something full-time or for the summer, or should I go do an extreme home makeover internship? And so when Robert died, something just happened, like, you need to go to 4. And so, like, it was just like automatic direction, like, I have somewhere I need to be, and I need to go there. And so when you become a Christian, you're not always sure where you're going, but you know that you're going to be safe because God's going to handle all the situation. You know that you don't need to worry as much and you shouldn't worry because you have God's guidance. You have written word. And so I think as a Christian, my life has gotten a little bit more direction, and I know what I need to be a better husband and a better Christian. And so I'm not gonna be perfect, but I'm gonna strive to try and be that ideal husband and ideal person.
So, what my life looked like before Christ. I don't feel like I have a lot of history, but to put it simply, I was a sinner. I still am a sinner, but I was a sinner in need of a Savior. I was raised in the church. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, especially in El Paso. I do remember raising my hand as a preschooler in a Sunday school class to accept Jesus. I think my understanding of that was a little bit limited at the time, but I was blessed to be in a good church that had biblical preaching, and I had good parents, and I felt like I started to understand things a little bit more with time, understand what it meant to accept Christ, commit your life to Him. One particular thing that I do remember was reading a book that mentioned a character in the book accepted Christ, but his motivation for doing it was to avoid hell, like, just because, of course, why wouldn't I make this decision if I'm going to go to heaven? And I realized the point of accepting Christ is not just to get a ticket out of hell. It's because Christ has done this amazing thing for you, and it's a free gift. And the point of accepting Him is so that you can spend eternity with Him in heaven, not just in heaven instead of hell. So I remember that was a big turning point, and just several things throughout my teenage years. I began to understand things a little bit more, and it became more clear to me. So I can't say that I have a specific date or time that I know this is when I committed my life to Christ. I think it was a process, definitely a process, before I started to understand what it meant and that I had made that decision. For somebody who's hesitant on whether to commit their life to Christ, I think I would say just to examine themselves. What is holding you back? I mean, we're not perfect. The people in our church aren't perfect. We've been through tough things, and what better way to find other people to join with and talk about your life? And I mean, we'll ask anybody. If you're hesitant, ask anybody here at Oasis their story, and we'll talk to you about it. There's nothing to be hesitant about. So I would just say jump in. It's the best. If you end up making that decision to commit your life to Christ, it's going to be the best decision you'll ever make. That's what I would say.
And I think, just to elaborate on Lindsay's advice, would be to get in a small group or get more involved with the church. It can't hurt. You're not going to lose anything. You're not going to lose time over it. And if you're really scared, you kind of sit back and kind of see how other people interact with each other and see what it really means to be a Christian. It's put yourself out there and kind of decide whether this is something that you want. For me, it was the best decision of my life, other than marrying my wife, of course. But
brownie points.
But no, if you're on the fence. If you're on the fence about committing your life to Christ, I think you need to think about it and maybe talk to your pastor about it and see, kind of examine why you're not wanting to commit your life. What's holding you back? And in my life personally, there's been countless of things that I've asked God for and I've not known about, but it's kind of cool to see how your whole life plays out, because it's kind of like my job. You're not going to have the same. You're not going to have a dull life, I don't think, with Christ being a Christian. My job, we don't have we don't have 2 days alike. It's always different. It's always something going on, and I think if you're on the fence about it, just get into a small group and just see what it is to be a Christian. You'll have fun and you'll enjoy it.
Just one last thing that Phil had mentioned earlier in his testimony about his best friend's father passing away. Why wait? You never know when your last day is going to be. You don't know when God's going to take you. So why wait to decide where you're going to be for eternity?